Does it, Sensei? Three chords and the truth, man. That's it.
Yeah, and everybody, the GOAT has arrived.
Welcome.
Everyone hail the GOAT, Gregor Zane.
Good evening, everyone. Now, what's this GoFundMe for?
Okay, so we're waiting on pro wrestler Jimmy Rave to get back. Hopefully, unless hopefully he doesn't have to reschedule. But if it comes to it, it comes to it. But basically, there was an infection in his arm, and it was going to spread, and so they had to amputate his arm. And so, that's what we're flashing at the bottom there. The GoFundMe to help him pay for a prosthetic arm. And I wanted to get the full story from him, but also talk about the high points throughout his wrestling career. He's basically been everywhere but WWE. Which, some people say that WWE is where wrestlers go to die because they intentionally hold you back from being, your absolute best there. It's like you have to sometimes be mediocre so that other people on the show can look more important and stronger than you, which is a total mindfuck to me. And if he comes back, I'll be sure to ask him about it because I'm sure he knows many people who have gone through this. But once you get up into McMahon land, man, it's like, you are only able to succeed when they are ready for you to succeed. They talk all this shit about brass rings and taking it, seizing the day and all this, but no, man. Sometimes they get mad at you there if you put on a better display of athletic prowess or mat technique than the main eventers. It's a total brain fuck.
Jeremy, like I said, I don't know too much about this, but when you get to that level, are you at that point kind of at the mercy of the writers? Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like you lose a lot of control of your persona, right? Like I'm just asking, like, that seems like that's
happens. A lot. Yeah, there's a whole creative team. And that's not how wrestling was originally done, but I have a feeling it's going to be a while before we hear from Jimmy again. But anybody who wants to help out, a good cause, go there. He's trying to raise. Let me put it up here too.
So he was on before I joined and had to drop off for some reason.
Yeah, audio issues.
Okay.
For all I know, it could be because I refuse to wear a headset. But I mean, I do refuse to wear a headset. So
I think it was the wind. It sounded like wind.
It did sound like the wind, didn't it? Okay, is it showing there? There, okay. Yeah. So, as you can see, the goal is 20,000, and they've raised almost 10,000. Okay, so I would say that's like what 45% of the goal right now.
Mm-hmm. Then under half, yeah.
So, yeah, man. I mean, I've already done my part as best I can, and no pressure. But anybody who wants to help out someone who is going through a hellish time right now, and even then, he sounded pretty normal, like he was dealing with it the best he could, which is pretty amazing in itself. But Bret Hart once said these wrestlers, when wrestle the sport or whatever's done with you, they kind of just take you out back and put a slug in your head, and sometimes, to some of these guys, it probably seems like that's pretty relevant. I don't know.
Yeah. Put you out to pasture. You're done.
Well, that's why every time there's a talk of a union, people get, people in wrestling get, fucking blackballed, scared, turned on and betrayed, it's not always a pretty business, it's fun with all the lights and the women and the elaborate costumes and storylines, but underneath that is a hideous, pallid, fecund, unctuous underbelly.
Jeremy, I like that you went from lights to women. Like it's like you get caught up in the lights and the women, and like I love that. Like you went from lights to women. Like that is awesome.
Dude, have you seen some of the women in wrestling these days?
I haven't, but I imagine it's a good thing. But
Oh
it's just
my
like
god.
first you get the lights, then you get the women, then you get the power or something, you know.
Yeah. The stage and the money and and all this shit. Uh, there is the thing about wrestling that I always liked was the emotional payoff to a slow burning storyline that lasts a whole summer, and this guy keeps getting upset and cut off at every turn, and he finally overcomes the bad guy or the good guy, and it's like it's like watching Karate Kid or Rocky or something, but with more outlandish characters, and
Mm.
all right, Jimmy,
Yes, sir.
sounds a lot better, man.
There we go.
So I don't where to begin, man. Well, first off, let's not drop right into the current circumstances. Let's talk about what actually brought you to the dance. Were you one of those that started like in your teenage years wrestling, like getting paid under the table, or
Yeah. I originally started training when I was 14, and then by the time I was 16, 17, I was doing a whole bunch of shows, just local shows in Georgia. And then eventually I made my way to a place called NWA Wildside, and that was the same place where AJ Styles first came out. Like Abyss was there early in his career, and a whole bunch of guys came out of that system. And they were on syndicated television on 200 different networks, and so that really got my name out there really well.
God, NWA Wildside. I remember catching that at like 1 or 2 in the morning on
Mm.
Saturdays into Sundays. Like you're talking about the Lost Boys and uh,
Yeah.
Hernandez,
Mm.
uh, Stone Mountain, and Ice Train. Those kind.
Yeah.
So you went up against all those guys.
Oh yeah. I came in like already trained and stuff, and I was there like right when the Lost Boys debuted. Stone Mountain was just finishing up with us, but yeah, I was around the whole time. We were a WCW developmental company, and so that helped us out a lot.
So you were at the power plant. Is that what you're saying?
We were invited. Like I would go to the power plant on occasion, but NWA Wildside was just a place where the guys that were at the power plant would come and wrestle us and get experience working on television and stuff like that.
Gotcha. Okay, and I mean, but at that point in time, did it seem like WCW was a lost cause? Like in the whisperings between wrestlers, that I mean, was everyone pretty much whispering that WCW was going down one way or another? Even then,
No, no, because they were still hiring guys up until the end. Like AJ Styles got hired, and then 6 months later they closed down. I don't think anybody had that feeling that WCW was going to close down, but they were real reckless with their money. Like I've done matches for WWE and stuff like that, and you get paid like $250 to be an extra at WWE, but like WCW, you get paid like $500 a night. They would even fly out extras. Like they were real reckless with their money.
yeah, Ted Turner's money came in a bigger kind of bulk than Vince McMahon's, where it's kind of like I don't know, you're paid based on how you performed and what you did. From what I've heard, I don't know. Is that right?
Yeah, that's pretty much how it is. And like, yeah, that somebody even wrote a book about how WCW lost $200 million in a year. I mean, they were real reckless with their money.
You talking about the death of WCW, or the one about
Yeah,
Nitro and how that backed it up with all the documents or whatever that Bischoff talks about?
yeah. There's both of those books talk about it. Like you can actually Google, WCW contracts, and like they'll show you the last like year and a half of what people were getting paid.
You know what the real kicker is, and it's real cool to talk about WCW here when it's like it's almost what 20 years dead now. But the thing, exactly 20 years, I think. But the thing is that, you know, for a time it overtook Vince McMahon in the ratings and just the overall fun factor. I mean, everybody loved to throw a cup of beer at Scott Hall or Kevin Nash's head, and they just took it, you know. And
Yeah.
you know something about getting hit in the head with projectiles too.
Right.
But the thing is, about as far as WCW goes, the real kicker is that Scott Hall and Kevin Nash, from what I understand, and again, I'm on the outside as strictly a fan, so you know I don't have any like pertinent inside information based on real experience. This is all just what I've read and heard as a fan. But I heard that Hall and Nash actually had it negotiated into their contract, some clause that whenever someone else got a bump in pay, they automatically got one, so they still made more than that person.
Yep, that's absolutely true.
That's fucking bullshit.
That's genius. Genius
There-
negotiations, dude. I have to say,
Yeah.
like, absolute genius. Van Halen did
It,
that as well.
Did they?
Yeah, they did that on like what was that? Fucking not Live Aid or whatever concert where that 3-day thing with where David Bowie headlined one of the nights. They had it in their clause that they had to make more. So like they paid David Bowie like $1 million, so Van Halen had to make like $1,001,000, like or something. It's really ridiculous, but it's funny that stuff gets put into contracts. But fuck, it does, man.
You know what? That's almost more absurd than that Brown M&M story. I'm sorry, Jimmy. Go ahead.
Yeah, I meant.
I can tell you the origin of why that story exists. Also, when you're done talking to Jimmy.
Cool.
There's like them doing that was really it really paid off for wrestlers right now. Like before Hall and Nash, there was no guaranteed contracts in wrestling, and so everybody was paid, per percentage of whatever the promoter thought you should get paid, and so them doing that like really helped all of us today.
Really? Okay, so maybe it was genius, John Wayne.
Yeah.
Hey man, I told you, dude. That you get then those contracts are slippery bitch, dude. You gotta, figure that shit out.
Yeah, but like for example, like the WWE contracts are still of that to where they can get out of that for any reason they want to. Like and they won't let anybody wrestle for another promotion. Yet you're considered an independent contractor, so we don't get health insurance or anything of that sort, even while you're under contract.
Yeah, why do you think that still is? I mean, can it really be as simple as the McMahons being like, tight with their money? I mean, all that money they wasted on Linda McMahon's failed Senate bid, which I wouldn't have voted for if I was in Connecticut. But do you really think it's as simple as that, or do you think there's more to why unions and even just basic insurance and benefits don't work in wrestling? I mean,
yeah, I don't think it has anything to do with that. I just think it just holds them liable for like real bad injuries. There's so many guys, especially from the Attitude Era in the mid to late '90s that have neck fusion surgeries done. Like I spent like during my time in TNA, like I was around Kurt Angle a lot, and to see him walk around was heartbreaking because he had atrophy of his arms because of his neck injuries and stuff. He wrestled the Olympics with a broken neck, and so he was already coming in like beat up. And then I also saw TNA, like when they signed him, he had like a $500,000 contract, and so did Sting. And Sting's contract, he only had to work TVs and pay-per-views, but Kurt had to work all the house shows too. So they beat people up and then wonder why people have substance abuse problems or injuries that they can't come back from.
yeah. Go ahead, John.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jimmy. I'm just my name's John Wayne. I'm a horror author and a musician. But I'm at conventions all the time. That's what I do for a living. But I've been at a few conventions with where wrestlers are, and I was right across the aisle from Vampiro.
Vampiro. Yep.
Yeah. And like when he got up, like he's built like a brick shit house still. He looks great, but when he got up to walk, it was such a process and such a like he had such a bad hitch, and I was like, Jesus Christ, dude, these guys get beat the fuck up for sure, like absolutely. So when you mentioned that, that's what I thought of.
Absolutely, like he just had to like none of us like having to do these GoFundMe things, but he was one that recently had to deal with a GoFundMe situation because, he's down there in Mexico. In Mexico, he's even more hard to get locked down in a contract, like they that's just a backwards world in pro wrestling. But yeah, like, guys like that have, worked their butts off for the last 20, 30 years, like definitely have hard times walking or have hip replacements, knee replacements, all that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. When did you? I mean, who trained you to start with?
I was trained by a guy named Murder One down here in Atlanta. He ended up training myself, a guy named Corey Chavis, um, a kid that's on the Indies right now named Chip Day. Like there's a good bit of us that he trained in Georgia.
Okay. And well, when did you catch the eyes of Ring of Honor, which was like really gaining traction in the early, I guess, '99, early to mid 2000s.
Yeah,
Um,
they started in 2002.
oh, okay.
So what happened was back in I sound like an old guy now. Like back in my day, you had to send off a VHS tape, a resume, and an 8x10. And I sent a whole bunch of those off, and I ended up getting a call back from a guy named Ian Rotten who runs a company called IWA Mid South. And I was in a tournament called the Ted Petty Invitational in 2002. And like the guys that were in that were like myself, CM Punk, AJ Styles, Christopher Daniels, um, Mr. Anderson, Cole Cabana. There was a lot of guys that, are on TV now that were in that tournament. It was a 16-man tournament. And through that tournament, I started getting work with Combat Zone Wrestling. And, how you talked about watching Wildside at like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, there was a lot of cities that did that, and Philadelphia was one of them. And at one point, I was on TV for CZW and Wildside at the same time, and so Gabe Sapolsky, who was running Ring of Honor at the time, had me come in. I drove myself up one day at the end of 2002 just to introduce myself and have a quick match, and then after that, it was off to the races.
Cool. Well, when was your first injury that might have tested your resolve?
I stayed pretty injury free for a long time, but in 2000, early 2007, I was wrestling Samoa Joe on his way out of Ring of Honor to go to TNA full time, and we did this spot, and he ended up trying. He was trying to kick me in my chest, and ended up kicking me in my jaw. And I had the week before I had just quit my regular job because I was able to make enough money wrestling, and he kicked me in my jaw, and then now I'm got to make a decision, whether I keep wrestling with a broken jaw, because if I don't wrestle, I don't get paid. And so I ended up wrestling with a broken for about 5 weeks, and that was the first thing that really tested me.
Well, you couldn't cut promos. You couldn't, right?
No,
Couldn't give interviews
no,
with a broken jaw. I would imagine.
no. We did this big match with myself and Nigel McGuinness in England, and that was the last one before I ended up having to have my jaw wired shut. So, you couldn't wrestle like that.
Damn. Yeah, and I've even heard of wrestlers getting fractured eardrums or ruptured eardrums. I
Oh yeah,
that does not sound pleasant at all. That sounds quite nightmarish. I mean,
yeah.
jeez.
Somebody slapped me in my ear one time, and I was going to Cancun that very week, and I couldn't swim because my eardrum got ruptured.
Oh no! So the balance was. So what is it where the ear is so aggravated and
You,
what is that called where it hardens and
Cauliflower ear.
yeah
yeah, yeah.
do you have that?
I have early stages of that, but not like some of the other guys do.
Shit. Um. Okay. So when you get to Ring of Honor, uh, you don't immediately join the faction that's called the Embassy, right? I mean, you
No,
know.
I was there for about a year before the embassy thing started to happen.
Okay. Were you a good guy in
Yeah, yeah,
the States? Okay.
yeah.
So
I pretty much lost every match for that whole year, and then we did a big thing where if I lost another match, I was going to be fired from Ring of Honor, and then in the storyline, Prince Nana bought my contract.
So Prince Nana, as a character, he really had a thing for owning people, not just the female valet Jade Chung, which he brought out basically on a leash, right? But he had a thing for owning just all his talent that he managed, like in character. I mean, so
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And like we didn't start off with Jay Chung. Like we ended up, the first girl that we had was Angelina Love, and then in different cities we would just pick different girls, and then finally we ended up with Jay Chung, and she did an amazing job.
yeah, and that was a real slow burn of a storyline. But I understand now. I didn't catch every ROH uh, card back then. I was kind of a casual fan, because WCW had just died, if I remember. At least when I caught up to this, and I just remember the slow burn storyline. I understand now why you had the pouty face, when you were coming out there. I thought you were in character. You were taking the approach that, I hate to be in this shit town performing in front of these dumb hicks. But it was probably because your character was mad at being basically trotted out at the will of Nana, just like Jade, right?
No, I was more of what you originally said. Like I didn't want to be around these guys because originally the gimmick was I had two other guys that were part of the group called the Outcast Killers, and they would come out and spray air freshener, like because in character my character didn't like being around these smelly people. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And like that's how I ended up getting some big victories. Like I wrestled CM Punk um, and a big match in Chicago, and like I Prince Nana threw me the air freshener, and we sprayed it in his eyes, and I did that with AJ Styles too. So yeah, we like that was more the thing.
But the slow burn storyline was that even you were eventually, treating Jade Chung like shit. You would use her as a footstool when you like were celebrating a victory, right? And the
Yeah,
crowd
right.
was really starting to get behind Jade, right?
Yes, yes,
Until one day, and I don't remember how it happened, but she finally either uh, got her freedom through the someone defending her honor and winning a match, or she, got the courage and like kicked Prince Nana in the balls, or did she did something where she eventually, was released from this servitude or whatever, and I lost track of the storyline after that,
yeah.
but
It was Roderick Strong came to her aid. He's in NXT right now, Roderick Strong, and he ended up coming to her aid, and then we ended up doing this big faction war game style match in New York City that culminated to the end of that feud.
Yeah, that is one of the more memorable storylines because I mean, to see her finally, uh, gain some semblance of, normalcy, and get out from under this total jerk,
Yeah.
and now Jade actually wrestles like jumping off uh, giant, like, 10-foot speakers onto a crowd of opponents. Now that she's that kind of wrestler, she does incredible things in. What is it? What is the name of that? It's somewhere in California. What is the name of that?
Um, I'm not sure the name of the promote. Oh, she was doing stuff for bar wrestling and PWG, I think. And her husband is like a real big star at TNA right now, Josh Alexander. Um, he he's been an amazing talent for a long time, and people are starting to get to notice him.
Now is Josh Alexander in that tag team Ohio versus everything? Because I'm not familiar with him.
No,
Okay.
he's after Ring of Honor, Jade ended up moving to Canada and opening a bar, and she started dating Josh, and him and Ethan Page are a tag team. I think they're called
The North.
Northern something. Yeah, the North. Yep.
That's probably a play
And
on Game of Thrones too.
yeah. And both of those guys are extremely awesome.
Yeah, yeah. You were surrounded by a lot of awesome people. I showed the picture at the start of you and CM Punk both with bloody faces. Uh, was that in a tag team match, or were you two working against each other?
No, we had a long feud actually. We did a dog collar match against each other, and then it culminated into me and him wrestling in a cage match in Chicago, where he's from. And if you can watch that match, like we both were, the finish of it is he superplexes me off to the top of the cage. So we're both standing on the top of you know, the cage, and he superplexes me. It's one of the scariest things I've ever had to do.
Off of the cage?
Yeah, it was crazy.
You must have practiced that. You didn't get that on the first try, right?
There's no way to practice that, like there.
Yeah, dude, I was gonna say, like, how do you practice getting thrown off the top of the cage? I think that's a one take Jake, I'm sure, right?
Okay,
absolutely, because if we get up there and like are trying to practice it, like because I'm the one that has my back to the ground, I could easily fall backwards, and so like you just gotta. Oh, there you go.
oh no, this is freaking me out. Oh my god, this is insane. You guys
Yeah,
actually did.
this was a crazy. This is crazy.
Well,
Yeah, right there. You're probably saying, "Don't you fuck this up, man."
You can see my foot. I'm almost like I'm shitting my pants
Oh
right there.
oh
shit!
damn! Oh shit!
If you hadn't landed exactly flat, uh, they teach you how to fall in wrestling training. It's called pratfalls, right? Is that what they call it?
Yeah. We call it bumping.
Right, that too. Man, you can't. Yeah, yeah. Wrestling, you could call it choreographed. You can call it scripted. You could call it embellished or whatever. But I mean, that's going to hurt. There's no way around that. And I mean,
Right.
stunt people in general who would do things like that on a movie set, they're probably
Yep.
hurting afterwards too. There's no way around hurt. Not hurting after that.
Absolutely. And like I don't think people realize how often we're wrestling. Like that was a Saturday night, and like I had wrestled that Thursday, Friday. We did that match on a Saturday, and then I had to fly home Sunday to wrestle another match. So like um, luckily you're not doing that big of a maneuver every night, but the last like 5 years of my career, like I really focused on technical wrestling, and so like those matches usually last longer. So like I would have like 3 or 4 nights in a row where I would be wrestling 20, 30 minute matches.
Jeez. So yeah, Mr. Marathon, huh?
But that,
Yeah,
I'm sorry, as I said, that's what it takes. Like that's even like in any craft almost, like, perception is reality, and people see like that, you do this big cage match, but they don't know that you've done all these, 14 matches in a row, like nights in a row before this. It's a whole nother thing that you commit to. It's just, I mean, I feel like it becomes just a part of you. That's how it is. And like
absolutely.
I'm not a wrestler, but like my job is writing and being an idiot and going around the country. And like, yeah, you don't understand like how hard it is, the sacrifices that come with it. I'm not necessarily, I might be putting my body to the test in other ways, if you know what I mean, but it's a whole, there's a whole lot of sacrifice that goes on behind the scenes when you commit yourself fully to something that is unrealized, but is completely necessary. So
Absolutely, and I feel like your hustle's much like ours. You know what I mean? Like I feel like anybody that's in any type of entertainment industry, um, like we have to have a lot of the same similar traits. Um, I'm sure you're going out doing conventions all the time, and like the travel is part of the wear and tear on your body. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, we drive a lot, and
yeah,
I like it, but it's a lot, still, and you have to always be on. And I love to be on, but sometimes it's people want you to be on in times when I don't know, you know what I mean.
Ben or Gregor, do either?
absolutely.
You guys, I know you're kind of lost in space right now, but do you have questions for Jimmy before I get to the next stage of the discussion?
I think that you should enter the next stage of the discussion.
Okay,
Yeah, I agree.
you guys are hanging tight though, right?
Yeah.
Tight.
Plenty more to come. Don't worry. Anyway, so Jimmy, one another thing I've got to ask you is I've noticed, over the years, there's been an accumulated, amount of fans interjecting into wrestling matches and, taking it a bit too seriously, or maybe trying to insert themselves into something they know is a storyline, and then they get their asses handed to them, upside down by you guys. Now we've seen what happens when a fan tries to attack Rhett Titus, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Triple H, Randy Orton, and uh, uh, Bobby Fish. I think somebody
Uh,
tried to attack him once. What happens? What happened? I'm sure this happened to you at least once, where a fan, attacked Jimmy Rave. How did Jimmy Rave address it?
oh, I've got a funny story about that. So I was beating up a guy outside of the ring near the guardrail,
Hmm?
and then all of a sudden, like I black out. You know what I mean? And I don't know what's going on. An old lady ended up tasing me through the guardrail,
Damn.
Are
and
you
so
fucking serious? Oh my
yeah,
god.
Like an audience member?
yeah.
I had an old man yank my guitar cord off and knock my microphone down one time, and I almost
Oh,
beat the shit out of him, but I cannot imagine being tased by somebody. Oh my god.
yeah.
What the fuck?
That it was crazy. It was crazy. And like like we myself and I remember myself and Brian Danielson were tagging together in Florida one time, and that guy in Happy Gilmore that had the nail in his head,
Yeah.
like his doppelganger tried to get in the ring, and me
Oh,
and
wow.
Brian, like as soon as he got up on the apron though, like I don't think fans realize that you have to get in the ring, and so we have the advantage. And so as soon as he got up on the apron, we just Brian slapped him, and he took a fall straight to his back onto the concrete, and then after that, the security guards were all over him.
Wow. Yeah, it's funny how often security misses it because probably because a lot of them, think that it is part of the show, right? I mean,
Yep. Yeah, I got a funny story about that too. In WCW, um, you know, a lot of the guys were clueless, and so there was a wrestler named Tony Mamaluke who was uh, really influential in my career, and he was scripted to jump the guardrail and interject himself into a match, and the security didn't know, and they like stopped him and beat the shit out of him, and like he was like, "I'm supposed to be doing this," you know what I mean? Like,
so I mean, if he hadn't been caught off guard, he would have beat the security officer's ass, though, right?
oh yeah, absolutely.
That was a question I was going to ask, like relating to this. I know, like as a child, when I was very young, and I watched I really watched a lot of Glow, honestly, Jeremy, and that was my main wrestling I watched as a kid, and I had a really hard time separating fantasy from reality, and I was
Yeah,
truly terrified of Big Bad Mama, or these characters were real to me. So if I were to have interacted with them in the real world somehow, I would not be able to comprehend that they were playing a character. And that happens, I know, in a lot of things. Have you encountered that, like when you're in certain storylines, people like coming up to you and being like, and you know what, you're an asshole, and they can't separate the fact that you're not really like that? Or
yeah, absolutely. So like the company that we were talking about earlier, called Ring of Honor, their fans are what we call smart fans, and so they know that it's a show. You know what I mean? But I had gotten to the point to where I would intentionally insert myself into their lives, like before the show, I would like get dropped off in front of the line of people, and like get up to the door, and like they're trying to get in, and I'd slam the door in their face or something, like something that's not nobody else is going to see it because it's not on TV. But I did it for the sake of keeping my character, uh, you know, a part of the whole. I wanted them to boo me like out of
you're
like
playing
straight
into
hatred. You know what I mean?
it. You're
Yeah,
like
absolutely. I'm playing
live
into it.
trolling these people, like almost,
Absolutely,
and yeah,
absolutely.
yeah, that's
And
So,
cool.
and they started to throw toilet paper at me in the ring when I would get in the ring, and like because in Japan, like they would throw streamers at the wrestlers they liked, and so they would throw toilet paper at me because they thought I was, shitty. You know what I mean? So, but like
That's great.
the I I would do other things like I wouldn't stop to fill up my car in a town that I was wrestling in. I wouldn't go into any stores or anything like that because I didn't want, like, I think right now wrestling's at a point where it could be a lot there would be a lot more fans if they didn't have so much access to us, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
we need
That's
to
awesome that you do that. That's very cool.
yeah, I wanted to keep that that suspend disbelief like whenever I'm out there, you know?
Yeah, you're not. You don't want to break that fourth wall. You're not want to break the fantasy down. You want it
Yeah,
to be alive still with these people. Like, that's
absolutely.
cool.
in previous generations, in your profession, they they were they were deeply devoted to making people believe, protecting the business, even to the point of lying to their families in some ways, like wearing a neck brace
Mhm.
around the house when they come home, and tormenting their own kids with it, like Jake the Snake Roberts says his dad did. He would come home in a neck brace and act like
Yep.
he was really, I mean, that is protecting the business a little too much, I think. But
That's commitment to the bit, dude.
well,
Commitment to the
Yeah,
bit.
absolutely.
there's something to be said on both sides for that. But I think their job was to make people believe. Where now I think that your guys' job now that everyone knows and is keyed in to even the terminology you use, and I almost want to apologize for that, but my curiosity is all consuming. So, but what I I was going to say is I think now your guys' profession is to make people forget for 20 minutes that it's, as opposed to making them believe, you've got to make them forget. Um, and
there's a little bit of belief that comes in with that creeps in that
you
makes
have
it
to want to
possible.
believe, because I mean, that there were certain key figures who ruined this. And by the way, we've got Jared Barbie from of Death's Head Press standing by, and I'll go ahead and let him in.
What's up, dude?
But Jared, yeah, just hang in there while we're talking to Jimmy. It just be a little bit longer. We've got some very important information to convey, and then we'll talk about what we were discussing. Cool. So Jimmy, um, I'm sure it's not easy to talk about, and Lord knows you didn't see this coming. But so something unfortunate happened in the last month or two. I don't know when. Uh, how much do you want to talk about it? Because we've got the GoFundMe, and I can put it up here on screen again. Uh, it's very important. Anybody, who has any empathy in their heart, any money burning hole in their pocket, or they just want to improve someone's life who has been thrown with a major been hit with a major curveball. Please help them reach the $20,000 goal. They're almost halfway there. you know and how much do you want to say, Jimmy, about what happened? And it's your story, not ours. So
Yeah, absolutely. So basically what happened was about maybe like 6 or 7 months ago, like I got this infection in my arm, like after doing some yard work, and uh, I just tried to put topical antibiotics on it and stuff like that, and I didn't take care of it, and it got to the point to where, like I had to go to the hospital, like I just couldn't take it anymore, and they ended up having to amputate my left arm, like right at the elbow, and so like uh you in my job, like I need both arms, you know what I'm saying, like so like my students, I run a training center here in Philadelphia, and they decided to do this GoFundMe thing because I don't have health insurance like I was talking about earlier, and we are trying to get I still have bills to take care of because I was in the hospital for almost 3 weeks, and like I ended up catching COVID in the hospital, so they ended up having to keep me there longer, and so yeah, so like I'm trying to get a prosthetic for my arm and deal with all these doctor's visits, like you got to see like a pain management thing, like you got to see the guy for the prosthetic, you got to see somebody for I have a surgeon that I have to see all the time, and then you have physical therapy, occupational therapy. It's been a crazy ride,
yeah. So the hope is that if when you reach the $20,000 goal, you're gonna get a prosthetic. Is that's the end game, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Like they're extremely expensive, you know what I mean? Like they and the process is just a long process. You have to um go and get fitted for it, but first you have to kind of you have to do a whole bunch of lead in stuff, and it's just been super time consuming, and and then on top of that, like it's difficult, like not being able to work, you know what I mean? Like I've been working a job since I was 13. So like, and even during when I was wrestling, like I had businesses on the side where I was still, working even when I wasn't wrestling. So like, mentally it takes a toll on you too. Like, luckily I have a great therapist and everything, but yeah, it's just been a hard thing to deal with.
I'm sorry you're going through it, buddy. I'm, and I mean, I don't say buddy condescendingly. I mean, I have the utmost respect for what you've accomplished, and I just despise that this has happened to you.
Absolutely.
Uh,
Yeah, and like the there's been positive things that came out of this too. Like as we were talking about, like I went the extra mile to like make sure that people you know uh didn't like me, but people have like been outpouring and been really uh saying good things about me, and like I was my character wasn't somebody that heard that often.
yeah. So would you say you were a heel most of your career, a bad guy?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I probably haven't been a baby face since like 2003.
Mm. You know what? I almost forgot, and I'm so glad that something you said triggered me to remember. But I actually was able to get, a bit of a, I don't know if you want to call it a pep talk or motivational speech or what, but I got someone who's got something to say to you that hopefully might put things into perspective because they happen to know what you're going through. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Um, and hang on, let me pull it up. This he says that he knows you or has worked with you, and I'm sure you're aware of him. And so here is the message from one of your peers. Okay, can you see?
Yeah.
All right.
Jimmy, it's Zack Gowen, man, your old friend. Hey, listen, dude, this is a message from Jeremy Maddox, who's a big fan of yours. And, I'm a big fan of yours, and I have been for a long time, bro. And, like this, I'm thinking tag team. You see what I'm saying? I'm thinking Jimmy Rave, one arm, two legs, Zack Gowen, one leg, two arms. Like the pieces fit into the puzzle.
For those uninitiated, and I'm sorry, Zack Gowen has wrestled for I don't know 15 years with only one leg, and so that's why I felt this appropriate. And I'm just catching the uninitiated up. And all right, here we go. Hang on.
Hey, Jimmy, it's Zack Gowen, man, your old friend. Hey, listen, dude, this is a message from Jeremy Maddox, who's a big fan of yours. And, I'm a big fan of yours, and I have been for a long time, bro. And, like this, I'm thinking tag team. You see what I'm saying? I'm thinking Jimmy Rave, one arm, two legs, Zack Gowen, one leg, two arms. Like the pieces fit into the puzzle. It's a wrestler mentality, bro. We're all fucking trying to come up with something. Listen, dude, like, but seriously, I want to let you know that like losing a limb isn't an end. It's a beginning, and it's a beginning for brand new experiences in a very fulfilling life. And I've seen the way that God uses people. And I don't think your story is over. And in fact, I think if you have breath in your body, then there's a certain responsibility that comes with that. And that's to allow God to work through you in His way. And I've seen the way that God uses people, and it gets me so excited and optimistic for you and what your future holds, not only with your mind inside of the wrestling business, because the wrestling business needs brains like yours. You see what I'm saying? More than ever. I mean, just look around, Uh, but more so, what you can offer to the public with your story and your experience. And I think about the amount of hope that can bring people who are facing similar situations or have been through situations that you've been through. And it fills me with hope because I know um, I know what's possible when we walk that path, and I'm praying that you walk that path alongside of me, man, because I need the help too, and I can't wait to see what chapter 2 in Jimmy Rave's life looks like. And I'm praying for you, brother. I love you. You know that, and I'm always here. I'm a phone call away, bro, and I hope to see you soon. And send my best to your girlfriend, or is it your wife, and your family and everybody who supports you. I'm on that team too, man. So hope to see you soon, and I hope you're well. Bye.
All right. So, Jimmy, did that was that helpful at all?
Absolutely. Yeah, Zach. I've known Zach for so long, and we kind of lost touch when he went to WWE and everything. But when I was still in the hospital and I just had the amputation done, I knew that I was gonna have to let the public know, and Zach was one of the ones that helped me get the courage to put out the statement that I put out, and then yeah, so hearing that from him is amazing.
And I'm sorry for some of the shits on Twitter who are such professional skeptics that they were trying to goad you into proof or it didn't happen to something
Yeah,
of
yeah,
magnitude. That is,
What?
yeah, somebody actually said that. Yeah, and Jimmy, you owed them absolutely nothing, but you did it, and then
yeah,
hashtag fuck my feelings, which that's exactly what it was with from those guys. And you know what? They probably knew when you did that. They probably felt worse than you at that moment when they saw
yeah.
that.
They messaged me and apologized and everything, but then a couple weeks later, when Brody passed away, they were doing the same thing, asking for more information about how he died, and I felt like his family didn't owe them that either. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so and again, for those uninitiated, there was a wrestler who died at the age of 41 just 2 weeks ago, and he left behind a family that he loved more than anything. Uh, and for those who have watched, over the years, he was in a group called the Wyatt Family, and he went by the name Luke Harper in WWE, but he passed at 41 of a non-COVID related lung issue. And man, yeah, if it's not the people who sign your checks, giving you, treating you guys like pack horses, then it's, certain, entitled fans on social media. So I'm sorry about that, sir. And let's put that address out there again. It's at the bottom of the screen, and let's see. Here's the fundraiser page. You know what it looks like with $9,147 of 20,000 of a 20,000 goal. So anybody who even if it, I mean, what's the minimum of donations that they could give, Jimmy?
I
I
mean,
don't.
I'm pretty sure they can give like $1.
Even $1 would help. It would get you closer to that goal. I mean, not much, but I mean, it would be something for someone who is in great need. So.
I just want to say that I appreciate everybody who has donated. There's been some real generous offers, and from people that I'm not even super close with. But it's just, uh, you know, I try to see the positive side in this whole thing, and me being able to reconnect with people like Zach and other people in my wrestling world has been awesome for me. And I'm trying to keep my head up as much as I can right now.
All right. Well, Jimmy, I thank you for coming on. We're not a professional show. This is basically just a YouTube live stream, and we don't pack houses the way you have for consistently for so many years. We couldn't even pack a living room probably. It's a different thing, podcasting and writing, but I think everyone here has felt the impact of your story, and all wish you well. So
Yeah, and
I appreciate it so much.
I have a couple podcasts and I do some things. I'm also going to share this across my stuff as well. So
I really appreciate that.
yeah, absolutely, man.
And nice meeting you.
Nice to meet you guys.
Jimmy, all I ask for now is that just let the people who do help you, know how much they mean to you, because
Absolutely.
they, I know it was as a caregiver myself that, there's some days where I just want to scream and grab the sides of my head, and pull my hair out. But, I mean, everybody gets tired. So yeah, show them gratitude every once in a while, even though, any human being would for someone in your situation,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Have a great night, sir.
All right. You guys too. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Take care, man.
All right.
Take it
Talk to
easy.
you later.
All right. So we need a minute to collect our thoughts.
Well, our next guest is here. We may as well jump into it.
Yeah. And
What's that? Hey, Jared, are you playing anything in the background?
Yeah.
What's happening?
What's happening?
Hey, let me switch rooms. My wife's watching football unless she wants to turn the TV down.
yeah, man. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
My wife.
So it's what your wife's the football fan, huh?
Yeah, I don't dig football really. Kind of sucks.
I like football.
Well, I mean, I liked it when the Oilers were here, but now it's like fake football in Houston.
Whatever.
I don't like it. Okay.
I like you, dude.
I like you.
So you're gonna switch rooms or
No, she turned the TV down. It's all good.
sorry.